Hello, welcome to some more spicy chess, and should be a fun hour and a half of something a little bit educational as well, I hope. I hope that my microphone is working okay, because I've had a bit of issues with it recently. It's the computer, so do let me know if the sound is all right. And obviously, it looks like the picture quality is okay. So yeah, let me know if the sound's all right, and we get going. Sound is good. That's what we like to hear. All cool. I've even got some help from my powerful psychedelic salt kind of ray lamp thing. If you don't know what I mean, I purchased myself one of these. This is meant to be, I don't know, some crystal which has a light source to give me good energy. So you're going to have good energy today. Everything's going well. Everything's going to go well. So what are we going to do today? Well, we're going to have a lot of fun, but as usual, I think I'm going to stick to the format we've done the last couple of times I've streamed, which has been pretty good. In the way that, it seems like a lot of you guys are sort of learning something, and you're also getting a bit of fun in, hopefully, as well. And we're going to do that today. So for the first bit of this hour and a half, I've got some examples saved from games, and I'm hoping you guys at home I've got some puzzles so that you can solve the puzzles, and it's again going to be on the theme of the empty square sacrifice. So if you saw my last show, you'll hopefully know what I'm talking about there. And that means when you do a sacrifice on an empty square. And normally in chess, sacrifices are made on squares where there's pieces or pawns. So, to open up your opponent's king, for example, you might take a pawn or something like that. But I think it's quite an interesting little bit of a thing. So, a little bit of an idea, and it's a little bit different. So we'll do that, and then I'm going to play a long play game later, where I might try to challenge one of you guys, if you're still here and you haven't got bored and gone down to get some food or something else. I'm going to try to play a longer play game so I can discuss my ideas, and hopefully you guys can see how a grandmaster thinks when they play chess, because I think a lot of you find that quite useful. So first of all, let's just say hello, and good stuff. Hello, everyone. And I'm going to be checking the chat as much as I possibly can on chess.com TV. So I'm looking at that now. So let's just throw out some words. Hello, I attack. Hello, Posh0610. And I said that in my Posh's voice. Oh, yes, old boy. And over on the Twitch channel, which is... okay, just getting there now. I'd like to say hello to, everyone there. And we have Ringed. Hello, Ringed. We have the Psych over there, Chess Psychedelia. And Pieta Jax01 and everyone else. So I think it's going to be a fun hour and a half, basically. Okay, well, at this time, I'm going to dive straight into the action. And I'm going to give you guys a question straight away. So, now, let's imagine this is actually taken from real game. It's taken from one of the legends of American chess. And the guy with the black pieces, well, he's one of the most famous players, and he was a great player, and he was from New Orleans. That probably gives it away a little bit. So who was it? Who's a legend from America? Well, you can see his name, actually. That's kind of giving it away as well. Okay, Paul Morphy. One place I'd love to go to in America is New Orleans. Actually, I'd love to go there. So maybe I'll get a chance one day. And in this position is white to play, because Paul Morphy has just put his knight upon d4. And Morphy was basically famous for his crazy attacking sacrificial chess. And he was, I'm just going to move the camera slightly, excuse me. And he was a brilliant attacker. So, really a great intuitive attacker, one of the best ever. And this is going back to the days when, basically you could give up pieces. You can't do this nowadays, and gambits were cool. Gambits are still cool, but not top players don't play them nowadays because you can rarely get away with them. But that's only at 2800 level. One of the joys of being a lot lower rated like myself, I mean, I'm still a grandmaster, but I'm lower rated than top guys, is that we can still play gambits. And you guys, you know, if you enjoy gambits, there's no reason you can't play them. And anyway, the position happened after knight to d4, and now it's white to move. The queen's on pre, and the queen went to e4. And we're going to start off, I would say, this show with a reasonably easy one. So it is now, in this position, black to play and win. So which move would you guys play? What would you play? What would you play? And imagine you're Morphy. Imagine you're from New Orleans. And I imagine it was a pretty cool place. Nice French Quarter, lovely architect, and some funky stuff going on there. I just love the idea of New Orleans. I don't know why. Probably been reading too many books on it. But yeah, what would you play? You're sitting there. Your opponent's just played Queen E4. And you have a great move here that wins you the game. So, Pure Defiance seems to have found the right move. Well done, Pure Defiance. We have Ringed. I have to say this is quite an easy one. Who's got the right move? Well done, Ringed. Clash Kid. I think you got the right move there. And I see a couple of you even put in the right answer, both on chess.com and on Twitch. So yeah, and the right move here is kind of, I would say, it's not really a proper empty square sacrifice, but it's a bit like one. And this is one where the black knights just cause some magic. These, I mean, some of my favorite puzzles, if you've seen a lot of my shows, you'll probably realize this, is to do with knights. I love knights because knights are so tricky. They jump all over the place. They go left, they go right, they go back, and they're kind of the most artistic piece in some respects, the knights. And this move, it looks like the white king is reasonably safe, but after the brilliant move, knight to g3, and this is a crazy looking move because you're offering the knight to 1, 2, 3 pieces, can take that knight, and you're also offering your queen to be taken, but that's not such a big deal. And the point of this is, well, if white captures the knight, then you go queen takes queen and you win the queen. And obviously if you win the queen, you win the game. And what is the only move that white can play? Well, white can play something like queen takes g6. And now we have this beautiful checkmate. Hello, Blazero as well. I see you, Blazero, in the chess.com chat. If you're watching this on my Twitch channel, I'm doing it mainly over on the chess Twitch channel today, so you can go and check it out there. And it's checkmate now in one move with this one. And look at that. That's the. I haven't actually got any graphics for this, but if you know me by now, I want to hear you say it first. Say it at home. If you're in the office, unlucky it's Sunday, I don't know what you're doing there. I want to hear you say my favourite expression now. Can you say it? Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. And this is the kind of thing that if you get this checkmate on the board, you maybe should think that. You probably shouldn't say it because you might get smacked, but you know, put that in your pipe and smoke it. Oh yeah, and that is indeed a nice checkmate. I mean, look at that, the two knights. It's a very unique one. I haven't seen that checkmate many times before. Okay, so now I'm gonna try to take you through a tactical game that I actually had, and this is taken from my own games probably about 10 years ago, and it was a combination again on the empty square sacrifice. So we're going to dive into a position. I'm not going to show you the first part of the game because there's a lot to get through today, but I want to show you just this tactical sequence. I want to see how many of you can find the right move. So you're going to try to be me for like 20 minutes or so. Very scary prospect, that one, but good luck. And we're also, what we're going to do, so you're going to try to be me, you're going to try to guess my moves, and we're going to see how we get on. I'll try to talk you through it. But yeah, I mean, look at that. Before we move on, what a beautiful checkmate. Morphy, as Lucan Ecole J is saying in the chess.com chat, he was just a legend, absolute legend, genius of the game, such a great attacking player. And there was a Marshall Gambit. This one was Morphy. I remember there was one where there was a Queen G3, which was the famous gold coin game. It was a little bit similar to this, but I wasn't going to show that because it's so well known. And there's a story of this game that I won't show you now, but imagine it was this one, and these two guys, I think it was Frank Marshall, was playing a game in a cafe against someone, and he played this chess move, and there's all these people watching this chess move, and it was just chess game, and it was such a beautiful move that all the spectators started throwing gold coins onto the board. Whoosh, have a gold coin, yay! And they started, and all these gold coins came across the chessboard. If someone started doing that to me when I was playing chess, I'd have to push, get your gold coins away from my board. No, I'd take the gold coins, of course. Right, so let's now move on to the next one. While I set up the next position, I've got this lovely, my favourite pawn is Harry, and I'm just going to show you this lovely picture that someone made for me with Harry the H pawn there. And that will allow me just to set up the next position. And because you can see little Harry's got his name there, this game really does. Harry's had the time of his life in this next game. So look at Harry go. Go, go, go. Go, Harry, go, go, go. Harry, be good. And there he's gone. He's gone all the way up the board to h7. What a little trooper he is. And it was quite funny, this game. I actually played h4, h5, pawn takes g6, pawn takes h7. So Harry has gone all the way up the board with majestic prowess. And it's a very complex position. Now, my opponent here is Richard Palliser. You may have heard of him. Richard Palliser is an international master from England, and I feel a little bit sorry for him when he faces me, because I don't know if you guys get this, or guys or girls, but like when you're playing chess, you sometimes face players that you have a very bad score against. I mean, I think it happens to everyone, and I actually did something a bit naughty of Richard once. I basically had a score of 10-0 against him in games, FIDE rated games from competitions. So I was kind of his bogeyman, and I literally had 10 wins out of 10. This game being one, and then we got to a position where where I played him on the internet, and I played him in a couple of 3-minute chess games. And I won the first chess game. I won the second game. This was really horrible. I shouldn't be putting myself down like this, but and it was a day when if you disconnected, then it would just abort the game. It wouldn't be a result. And I was losing to him in the third game, and I disconnected. Oh my words! Why am I saying that? Not proud of it. We all make mistakes, just so he couldn't win a game against me. That was just not nice. Not a nice thing to do. Then I logged back in and I did resign. So anyway, I had that moment for a second where I disconnected because I just didn't want him to win a game. But yeah, he was my bogeyman. I've got lots that I face that I really score badly against as well. But sometimes you have this clash of styles that happens, and we've got a very complex position here. So one thing I think that can help you guys, and one thing I like to do with these. These spicy chess things, we're here to enjoy ourselves as well, so do throw your comments in the chat, but I do want to try to tell you the way I think and try to give you hints that make you a better chess player. That's obviously an aim of mine as well. And one thing that I would say has helped me a lot, and one thing that I would say that you guys could do as well, is look at position. I mean, one way I improved a lot was I used to read a chess magazine just called Chess, and it was an English magazine from London, and it came out once a month, and it's cost £5. But you could do this with magazines, you could do it with any chess books you got, you could even do it with videos. Just rather than getting a board out, which you can do as well, of course, because I never really analysed with a board, because I was too lazy. I didn't want to get a board out, I just wanted to read the magazine. And make sure it's got diagrams. I jumped to a position with a diagram. So you might have a position like this up, and without looking at the text below it, I tried to work out what was going on in the diagram, who is better, but most importantly, why they're better. So for example, in this position, that's something I'd say you should do now. It is black's move, by the way. I haven't said what's going on here yet, but a lot of you have found the right idea if it's white's move. Well done. But that really helps you, and there's two ways you should do this, and I think this is a great little clue. Well, there's 3 things you should bear in mind. I think this is really a very big secret that can help everyone improve. And this is for longer playing games. First of all, one of the most important things with chess, which people kind of forget about, is timing. I don't mean as in the clock, I mean how urgent is your position. So what I mean by that, certain positions like this one here, they are getting very urgent because there's lots of tactics going on. It's an open position. You can see that very quickly. The rook is open. The black king's quite open. There's lots of pieces which look dangerous near that black king. So the sense of urgency, like if you had a fret level, it would have to be on red at the highest because there's a lot going on. So you should, when you have this sense of danger, that means you can't mess around and you can't play, oh, you know what I'm going to do here. I'm going to maneuver for a slight advantage on the b6 square. You haven't got time to do slow maneuvers. So you need to assess how much time you have in a position first. And sometimes what very good players do extremely well, they actually have such a good judgment of when they need to act. And that's something, if you want to become a better player, you have to do. And then the next thing I'd say is very important when you judge a position is just to look at the pawn structure first. This is a complete mess. And then look at the pieces. Look at your pieces, look at your opponent's pieces, and see what's going on. And you can do that with diagrams. Look at the pawn structure from a random game. Try to work out who's better and why. Look at the pieces and try to get ideas how the pieces move, maybe in ways you haven't seen before. Now, as some of you pointed out, if it was my move here, so get thinking already, if it was white to move here, then I would be winning. Let's say black just played a move. I'm just going to waste a move here, rook a7. Now, it's white to move and white to win in this position. This position is a mess, that I think, as the Moorish has said. I think one of my strengths is basically when I'm playing chess, something that Mikhail Tal used to try to do. I think he had the statement, try to make 2 + 2 = 5. So I think what he meant by that was you could create an absolute mess on the board to try to confuse your opponent. And hopefully, you know, if it's in your style, you can see through the mess better than your opponent. So in this position here, it's white to play. And white can force checkmate now through checks. And it's, let me just see how many moves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 move checkmate here. And it's the same thing that a lot of you have already mentioned in the chat. And it's the key idea for this puzzle. And it's an empty square sacrifice, because we're not sacrificing on a square to break open our opponent's defenses. The move here would be one of the knights, it doesn't matter what, to g6. And the point of this is that knight has to be taken. And another thing you should do when you don't have much time, so let's say it's your move here, your opponent's played some silly move like rook a7. The other thing you've got to bear in mind is if you have a good attack, always look to see if there's an immediate kill. So look for those forcing moves like checks, like captures. This is a check. If you don't have an immediate win, then what I would say is you have to deal with any danger to your king, but bring in reinforcements. It's very simple. So if you can't see an immediate win, bring in reinforcements. Okay, so knight to g6, check. And now pawn takes g6. It's the same thing. You might as well take a knight. Knight takes check. And now Harry has given himself up. King takes h7. But now one of the two of the pieces that coordinate best in chess are the queen and the knight. So if you can generally get it to position where you have queen and knight, this can be absolutely awesome. And that's the case here. We don't really want the black king to escape to g8. You want to take away the squares from his king. So knight to e7 check is a lovely check here, because you take away the g8 square. And here there's only one move, king to h8. And now some of you have pointed out, and well done to you who solved this, queen to h3 is check. And next move we take the bishop with checkmate. Cool, I've created some green squares there. I've never done that before. Very nice. So my opponent played in this position bishop to e5. So he's trying to give himself the g7 square. Now, in this position, it's your move. The position's quite urgent. You've seen one of the main ideas here is this check. You know the main idea is this check because you've got this in your mind from what I've just shown you. So this may well be the right move, but what is your potential follow-up if black takes here, you take the knight, so you've got to try to think a little bit ahead, and the king, let's say, goes to g7 here. This is the point of bishop here, to try to give the king the g7 square. What would be the follow-up there? So it's not, in this position, the first move, which is the best move, but it is the follow-up to this. So what is the follow-up there? So after we sacrifice on g6, and this is, again, a case of you should be looking for the most forcing moves first. If they don't work, then you try to bring in your reinforcements. So maybe try to bring in your pieces which aren't doing anything. I'm highlighting some of them now. So have a think about that now. What would be the move in that position I just mentioned? Okay, so Pure Defiance has asked me a question. Can I ask you how to get over being stuck on one plan? When you find it, sometimes I can just not let myself go of an idea, and I keep trying to go for it. When should I look for another plan and let go of a complicated one? Well, generally in chess, there's this thing called the process of elimination. So let's say you're stuck on the idea of knight g6 here. Don't look at anything else, and you should just look at this for as much time as you can sort of generally do without getting in time trouble. And if you can make it work, great. But then if you can't make it work, or you're not sure of the consequences, you shouldn't play it. You should just move on to another option. Sometimes you have to really follow your instinct, but you've got to move on. And not always going for a complicated plan is the best thing. It's normally much better to go for a simple plan. Simple is good. But in some situation, you have to go for a complicated plan. And that is the case here for white, because it's a complicated position. And no one's come up with a suggestion here. Someone's saying push Harry. I have to say, I can't push Harry any further. Harry has done a fantastic job. How much further? I can't push him into the black king. That would just be move. If I try to push him into the black king, no, we can't do that. That would be the black king might arrest Harry then, and, or enjoy it too much. Who knows? Right. So we have some suggestions. Now, whenever you play a move, you've got to have a reason behind the move. I do say that forcing moves, if they work, are obviously better. If you can force checkmate, do it. No one's come up with the right idea yet. Now, g6 is kind of the well, that's maybe a move I'd certainly consider, but it's a bit slow. Knight to h5 has been suggested, but I don't see the reason behind that move. You've got to, in this kind of position, try to create a threat, because it's all to do. Look, you've got 1, 2, 3. You've got kind of four units attacking a bare king. And if you can, well, we can all add up, but if you can add up in chess, you've got many more targets attacking your opponent's king than he has defending. It's very likely you'll have a way through. So what is the way through here? And let's keep thinking. So anyone else? Okay, the Moorish, I think, is the first person to get the right answer, but not straight away. I mean, because what is black's idea? Well, black, I think, here would like, if it is black's move, to go bishop takes f4, and he would get rid of one of your very dangerous attacking pieces. The knight on f4 is one of your best attacking pieces. I don't want to allow my opponent to swap it off. I want to play quick. Okay, I think you've had long enough now. Well, the winning idea here is the most aggressive idea, but I'm afraid it doesn't seem like many people have found the so we can go knight g6 check again. This is again an empty square sacrifice. So of course black takes on g6. You might as well take the knight, and now we go knight takes g6 check, and we have a combination again of the queen and knight attacking. And the key idea here is, well, if king takes h7, this is just a bad move. This is losing, because now we can go, for example, knight takes bishop check, and it's going to be checkmate very soon because our queen or our knight's going to fly in. So there's only one move here for black, and it's king g7. And this is the key position where you needed to see the next move. And again, this is a position where if you don't have a forcing move that does something good, you should be looking at ways into the position or ways of bringing in reinforcements. So it doesn't matter what knight we put on g6. It doesn't matter. So how can we create... And also, you should be looking at creating threats. creating threats. You've got to create threats. How can you create a threat here? You're a whole rook down now, I believe. Yeah, you're a whole rook down. You need to create a threat. So what is the idea now? I mean, if you queen, this is a bad move because you don't really want to swap off your knight for the rook, because your knight is a much better attacking unit in this position than the rook. And here black could just take the queen and you run out of pieces. You only got a queen. You're not attacking. It's the end of the game. So you need to try to create a threat. And the key move here, which I think most of you are finding now, is queen to h3. And now you create a threat. You create a threat of the queen coming into the position. And this is a devastating threat. So it's a very tricky position for black here. Black played check first in the game. And I've got to think of the safest square for my king. I don't want to go to d1, it's check. Actually, the best square is f1. My opponent doesn't have any good checks here. And now my opponent is in a lot of trouble because I'm threatening this massive check here. So he played king takes knight. So I'm now a lot of pieces down. White to play and win. I'm just going to give you a bit of time to work this out. And this kind of shows you how you need to calculate quite a long way ahead sometimes when you're playing. But the reason I was able to calculate in this game, which I'm asking you to try and do now, is basically when you're playing a game of chess, it's very important to also manage your own time, your clock time properly. I said this the other day. There's no point spending like 20 minutes on a move that you know you're going to play straight away. You want to save your time up, because at some point you should be spending 20 minutes, 30 minutes on one move. Because in chess, there's always going to be a critical moment where, I mean, there's going to be a moment in the game where things are going to happen, where you need to calculate deeply, you need to spend more time, and you need to have saved your time up for that moment. So that is that's the case here. And right, so what ideas do we have now? Okay, well, see if you can work it out. Obviously, you want to come in with a queen and you want to check. Do you want to go to h6 or do you want to go to h5? Now, what I do if I got to this position in a game, and this is another important thing that you need to get used to, and this might answer the question of someone in Twitch a minute ago, what I meant by the process of elimination. And this is like the most basic thing you've got to improve when you're trying to get better at tactics. If you can't do this, you'll never get better. What that basically means, and I've said this many times before, is if you've got a position like this where there's certainly something dangerous for you, you've got to analyze your moves one by one. Do not get your calculation mixed up. There's so many people who calculate in the wrong way. They look at this position, they're trying to calculate everything at once. Just stick with one move. So stick with queen to h6 check and try to calculate that as far as you can. If you can't work it out, then you eliminate that from your calculation. So don't look at queen h6 anymore, because you've analysed that as much as you can do. It's very unlikely you're not going to be able to analyse it better on the second attempt. That is the key thing. Your first attempt's normally going to be the best. If you can't analyse it any further and it's not good, eliminate it. And then you look at the next move, which is queen h5. And then you've got a very thematic way of going through the calculations. And I've just given you a bit of time. And the winning move here is to come to h6 with check. When black only has two moves, so again, what you do here, the process of elimination, you look at each of these moves one by one. So let's start by looking at king to this square. It's white to play and checkmate. Who can tell me the whole sequence here to checkmate? And it's checkmate in 3 moves. So you should be able to work this out. It's what I call a crisscross checkmate. If you can't see an immediate win with your pieces, try to bring in the reinforcements. I'll give you a clue. Hopefully everyone watching this, look for the checks. Look for the checks, guys. Anyone see this? Ringed is doing quite well here. Ringed, you had the right idea, but you've done it one move too slow, which means you're not using a computer, which is even more impressive. Well done, Ringed. I think it's Ringed, or I'm going to call it Ringed anyway. And that's on the Twitch chat, so well done, Ringed. I think you're the first person to do it. Well, yeah, and you've done it on the above as well. And remember, I want it all the way to checkmate. There's no point guessing the first move. One move doesn't mean anything. One move's nothing. How's one move going to help? You need to calculate this as far as you can. So let's have a go. Well, I'm going to show you. 3, 2, 1. Let's bring in another piece. Bishop h5 check. There's only one square the king can go to. King e7. And now that king would love to run away. We don't want that to happen. So if you played a move like queen f6 check here, mistake, because you allow the king to run away. Don't allow Forrest Gump to run. You want to stop that king running. Queen g7 check. And now the king only has e6. And here the quickest checkmate is what we call I call a crisscross, because these pieces are crisscrossing. And funnily enough, that position is actually checkmate there. So again, if we were analysing this in a game, what would we do? If we go back to this position, after check, before we play this move, we could eliminate king f7 because we know that's winning. So then we'd only have to concentrate on king f5. And clearly, this is a very risky move to play. So what is the winning move now? White to play and force checkmate now. And it's quite a nice next move. And it's another basically empty square sacrifice here. Another empty square sacrifice here. Le Brainwashed. He's obviously a French brainwasher there, whatever that means. Good name, I like it anyway. Well, there's two moves, again, the process of elimination. I say there's two moves you should be looking at, and they're both checks because you're trying to force. You should be looking at bishop d3 and bishop g4. Both of these moves, they're both checks. So which one do you think's better? Which one would you play and why? Well, bishop d3 check might be okay, but then I'm not sure how you're checkmating after both rook e4 and even king here. King here might survive because I don't see what your next check is. Maybe. There is a better one, and as a lot of you are now saying, bishop to g4, another sacrifice on an empty square. It is the correct move, and the point is if the king takes the bishop, queen h3 is checkmate. That's the main point. You've drawn the black king into the danger zone. So again, if you're calculating this, it would be very tough to do this from a start position. I'm not sure if I did or not. It was a long time ago. I think I had instinct, and I used my instinct, and I calculate as much as I can. And I saw lots of the lines were winning. And maybe I just saw that his king has to go in the middle here, and I thought it must be winning. But here, again, before playing this, you'd have to calculate. You'd cancel out king takes here. He's only got one more move. Well, it doesn't matter where he goes, really. It's going to be the same end. King e5. And now, well, it's pretty much the same checkmate we had before. Was that checkmate the last? Oh, well, okay. It's pretty much the same checkmate. Queen comes in. He's only got one square. King here. And now, well, it's going to be checkmate very shortly here. Checkmate in two moves. So checkmate in two moves here. What is the checkmate in two moves? Well, Ringed has got it again on Twitch, and it seems like a lot of you as thing. Loner Druid is saying, great, he's telling us he calculates everything but he uses instinct. Well, what I actually do, I calculate as much as I can. I'm trying to go through what I'd be trying to calculate, but then our brains are not like computers. They're meant to be better, but we can't calculate in a similar way to a computer. So what we have to do is just go as far as we can and then use our instinct in certain cases. And just to show you how this is checkmate, queen g6, again looking for the most forcing moves. The king only has one square. King e5, and now queen to f5 is checkmate here. And that's how the game ended. But yeah, I mean, what I would do, if you go right back, I mean, this is 8 moves deep. If we go back to the start position, probably what I saw here, I calculated quite deeply, and I probably saw that my opponent had to bring his king into the middle. And I thought, well, if he has to bring his king in the middle instinctively, I've got to be doing well there. And again, if you use the process of elimination, if you look at my other options here, I mean, I could go g6, but it's not that scary for my opponent, I don't think. He can go something like bishop takes knight. I'm not sure if this is winning. So following my instinct, we can see that this idea, and I think the first key move is this one. And then if we can see that his king has to come here, if you just calculate this far, it's bound to be dangerous for black, isn't it? So you can go along with that. Right, okay, so what we're going to do now, I'm going to play a long play game, and I'm going to explain my thoughts. Okay, we've got some strong players I see in the Twitch chat. And I'm going to try to face, if one of you who's watching this is I'd rather try to play someone high rated. Well, I mean, my rating's only 2,000 on Longplay. It's very hard to get it up, and I've faced a couple of cheaters in the past, so I've struggled. But it doesn't matter what the rating is. I don't think that much, because it's the way I'm going to talk about the way I'm thinking. But if any of you out there, and if we get time, we'll look at one more empty square sacrifice at the end. If any of you out there are over 1,800 at longer play on chess.com and you're logged into chess.com, please tell me your name now and I will challenge you and I'll play a game if you want to play, of course. So I'll play a game against you. But you have to be, for this, I would say over 1,800 and let's say over 1,700 on chess.com. You have to be logged into chess.com and you have to be willing to play me. We'll get a game, and also it might be good for you because you get like a free lesson as well, so that could be quite good. So if you have played standard chess, now you tell me your name. Obviously you can't just say me. Tell me your rating and your handle, please. Tell me your rating and your handle. Okay, so who are we going to go for? I'm just waiting to see if we have anyone coming in. Well, I'm looking on chess.com. What's your rating, Loner Druid? What's your rating, Loner Druid? Let's see if we can get someone. Okay, well, someone here is saying they're 2,100. And that is Cy Lord Ovi. I'm going to try to do that. Okay, so apparently this is, remember your rating has to be on chess.com over 1,700. So, hello, King of Endgames. Good to see you've joined in as well. Well, I did say Loner Druid. Let's try Loner Druid, because Loner Druid is often here when I'm streaming. And I remember Fiona did give Loner Druid free membership to chess.com because he was watching in Reykjavik when I was commentating with Fiona there. And I know Loner Druid is often here. So I'm going to challenge you, Loner Druid, to a game. So be ready. And, well, I don't know what happened there. So be ready for a game if you want to play. And we'll play a game and let's see how we get on. And also, Loner Druid, what I recommend you do is to mute your... I'm afraid you're going to have to mute what you hear now, the show, because then you'll be hearing what I'm saying and my suggestions, and that would be a little bit unfair on me. You can watch it on YouTube afterwards, but when we start playing, it'd be better if you mute it, because then you won't know what I'm saying as I go, and I won't be giving away my game plan. Okay, right, so let's play Loner Druid. Also, Not So Lonely Anymore. I like that one. That's a good one. And we'll see how Loner Druid's got on. I don't think anyone's actually defeated me yet with basically without using a computer. I'm pretty sure Loner Druid won't use a computer. So it's quite funny because in the past, I think I played 4 people who were computer cheats. And it was quite funny because, just after I played them, they all got banned from chess.com. So I've now been nicknamed the cheat finder. They play me, they cheat, and then they get banned. I don't understand why people do cheat. It seems ridiculous to me, but people do it. So Loner Druid, I'm going to play you now, but I'm sending you a challenge now, Loner Druid, and it's coming through now. And we're off. Good stuff. Well, hello, Loner Druid, and you do have a good rating, 1874. And one thing I've been doing, guys, please mute your mic now. And Loner Druid is from South Africa, place I'd love to go to. Hello, Loner Druid. Do mic. Don't listen. This is I think really good because I'm going to tell you my thoughts, guys. I'm going to stick to some of the openings I've been playing in previous games because I want to try to help you build up an opening repertoire yourselves. And one opening I've been playing a lot is the London system with Bishop to F4. And I've got some free videos on my YouTube channel, I think, which will tell you pretty much most of the things you know to play the opening. I've also done a DVD on it as well, but you can look at my YouTube channel to know this. Now, the way I play this, the London system, is with Bishop to F4, and the idea of this is you get quite a solid setup. But okay, Loner Druid has played one of the sharpest lines. Now, normally, against other moves, I create a pyramid, which is by placing my pawn on d4 and then supporting it with the moves c3 and e3, and I get a very strong basis in the center of the board. Now, I could do that, but the problem with going e3 or c3 here, and this is well worth knowing, is that black now has an annoying move, queen to b6. And the point of that move, queen to b6, is that Loner Druid is trying to take advantage of me moving my bishop out too soon. He's trying to target that pawn. So I think the best move here is to keep going with Derek the D pawn. Push the little guy on. Push the little guy on. And I'm sure my opponent does know the theory. This could be very exciting quite early, because it is basically the sharpest, one of the sharpest London system lines. And this now, it could get very interesting. Okay, so Loner's playing d6. Now, there are other moves he could play. He could have still played queen b6, but then the theoretical move there, and we might have a look at this afterwards, so I can't move the pieces now, is for me to sacrifice a pawn and allow him to take there, but he would have to lose a lot of time doing that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to develop a piece and play knight to c3, because this pawn on d5 is really my main positive thing in my position. This pawn here is really in, it's on his side of the board. It kind of tries to smuggle him, and my opponent now is playing a kind of Benoni setup, which I think is a good way to play against this idea. So I'm going to put another pawn in the center, because I want to try to get my bishop on f1 developed. And my opponent moving quickly, he's fianchettoed, he's getting ready to castle, so he's playing very sensibly. Now, a move I do have to watch out for is b5. Not sure if my opponent can play that yet. I don't think so. And I've got to think how I develop my last two pieces. How do I develop these two pieces? Because you can't attack without developing all your pieces. So I need to get these two to the best squares. Knight to f3 looks very sensible. Just trying to wait and see where I'm going to do that one. Generally, you bring your knights out first in the game. He can't play b5 yet, because I've always got bishop takes b5. So I think I'm just going to develop with knight to f3. And I want to move my bishop, get castled, and then then we'll be in the middle game, basically, because we've done everything we can. My opponent's playing quickly. He's very, very quick. And now I have to, because I know the ideas that both sides should be playing in this position. I know that one idea I really got to make sure he can't play is this a b5 move now. If I go bishop e2, will he go b5? Then I go bishop takes b5, knight takes e4, and this is a very common trap. Knight takes e4, queen a5 check, knight c3, bishop takes c3, pawn takes c3, queen takes c3 check, bishop d2. Can I do that? Maybe that's okay. Maybe that's all right for me. Maybe I'm not too worried about that. I'm just checking this again. Bishop somewhere. Let's say, well, I could go bishop to this square. Maybe bishop d3 is better. Because if I put the bishop on d3, then if he goes b5, I can take the knight. And I give my weak point at the moment is e4, so I just give that a little bit of extra protection. So I'm just going to develop and put my bishop on d3. That looks like the best thing. Now, the time limit we're playing is 15 minutes plus 10 seconds a move. So it's a bit quicker than, well, it's quicker, it's slower than Blitz, so that I give a chance to tell you guys who are watching this the way a grandmaster thinks. And I'm trying to tell you my thought processes in the hope that when you're at home, you will learn how I'm thinking, and it might help you think in a similar way. You guys might start thinking, okay, well, Simon thought like this. You're trying to get an insight into literally everything I'm thinking of. Well, not everything, but most things I'm thinking of during the course of this game. So that's what you're trying to do here. Someone's asking, do I teach private lessons, Simon? I don't actually. I used to. But the thing is, I did private lessons, and I taught for about 7 years. And I thought I'd try other things. So I've moved on now to doing videos, streaming. That's what I'm trying to make a living from at the moment. So I don't do private tuition at the moment, because I rather do videos, because it can give it to lots of people, and I find it quite fun doing videos and these things. Luckily, I do a job I kind of enjoy, which is all good. So it's a very sensible start to the game. My opponent has done the right thing. What do I mean by that? He's played a setup that I'm sure he knows quickly, So he saved time, and now that he's got to a position where he's done all his obvious moves, he's having a think. That's what you should all do. If you know you're going to play reasonably quickly at certain areas of the board, then you do that. And now he's played this move e5. Okay, this is a very double-edged move for my opponent, from his perspective. Now, whenever my opponent plays a move, a pawn move, particularly in a game of chess, I always think, how has that helped him? How has that made the structure worse? Because every time a pawn move is played, the structure changes, and you've got to reassess the way you're thinking. And every pawn move also makes a weakness. Every pawn move played weakens squares. Now, the positive of that move from Black's perspective is that he gets a pawn into the center of the board, so he takes a bit of control of the center. But it takes away a lot of dynamic possibilities. Now, I could take on Passon, but I'm not going to. It takes away the possibility. This bishop becomes bad. So think about what pieces it makes bad. This bishop on g7 is bad. It's a bad piece because it's totally blocked in by the pawn now. So that piece is bad. And also, he doesn't have ideas now of going e6 and playing actively. But one thing that will become stronger for my opponent later on is an idea of potentially f5 later on. So how am I going to do this? Well, I think here I'm not going to take on Passon, which would open up his lines. Because that would free up his pieces. I'm going to move my bishop. So where do I move it to? Well, if I go bishop g5, he'll probably go h6. Now I'm trying to think, do I want him to play h6 or not? Remember, every pawn move can be a strength and a weakness. Well, I'm kind of thinking that it might be it might help me if he plays h6, because later on we might see his pawn on h6 could become a weakness on h6. And what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to already think what my opponent wants to play. I think my opponent wants to move his knight and go f5. When the position becomes closed, and what I mean by that, remember what I said earlier on about timing? You've got to assess if you've got lots of time in a position or no time. Now that my opponent has played e5, and this is another thing my opponent has played, my mouse is a bit slow. Now that my opponent's played e5, he has actually closed the position up. So generally there's more time here, but now he's played an aggressive move. So he's coming down and he's trying to take here, and he may also been trying to move his knight. So am I going to gambit this pawn? Have I got queen d2? That would kind of improve my position. Queen d2. I'd also love to get my knight to c4. That's a lovely square for my knight. So queen d2, queen takes b2, and can I then do something clever like rook b1, queen here, knight b5? That looks very dangerous for my opponent. So I don't think he'd take on b2 if I did that. And queen d2 is a useful move. Queen d2 is a useful move because I get my queen to a better square, and I might try to come in on his dark squares later, especially if he plays this move f5. So my initial thought is queen d2. Now, I'm also thinking I'd like to play knight here and get my knight to c4. That's very interesting. Do I want to play that? I don't know. Knight here. Can he then take here? Well, then I've got knight b5. And surely that's very dangerous to my opponent. Knight b5. That would be very... So knight d2 and knight here looks quite good. Knight d2, actually, positionally speaking, is a very tempting move. Very tempting move if I can get my knight to this square. Because at the moment, my knight's not very well placed. So I'm trying to improve my pieces here and play this. So it's either queen d2 or knight d2. One of these two moves. I mean, I could maybe just castle as well, but I'm trying to take advantage of this queen being here. And I'm thinking I'm going to get my knight to c4, because I know in these positions having a knight on c4 it is quite a good thing to have. This is quite a good thing to have because it does pressurize one of the weaknesses in his position, and one of the weaknesses, if you're looking at his pawns, the base of the pawn chain, this is a mini pawn chain, isn't it? There's two pawns. Now the base of a pawn chain, d6, is actually a weakness. This is a weakness. And one thing I'd like to do is to try and play knight c4 and attack that one. In some ways I have to be a little bit careful, because of course if my knight's on c4, one thing he'd love to do is go a6 and b5, but I think I can always stop that by going a4. A4 is very important. I don't want my opponent getting active counterplay. This is one thing when I'm playing. I'm really careful of doing. Now, if my opponent takes on b2, you may be wondering about this. My plan is to go knight b5. That's my plan. I hope I've calculated that correctly. You're scaring me now, guys. So my plan, if he takes there, is to go knight b5 when I'm threatening knight c7, knight takes d6. His queen looks very bad on b2. I've got rook b1. It looks very risky. Okay, so he's gone a6. He clearly wants to try to play b5. But now I'm going to continue with my plan. Why not? Knight c4. He can't take on b2 now. I think his queen will have to retreat. And of course, we've got to always try to stop our opponent's ideas. This is one of the simplest ways that lower rated players can basically improve, and stopping your opponent's ideas. And I want to stop him going b5, so a4, of course I'm going to play. And another thing now I should be looking at, because he's played a6, which squares does that weaken? Potentially b6. Potentially this square, if I can get a lockdown on that square, it will weaken it. But he's gone knight d7. So what should I do now? Well, castling would be very normal. I mean, I could start going a little bit crazy here and try to attack with Harry. That would be an interesting way to play, but I don't necessarily believe it. I could also go a5 and try to shut down here, because maybe my opponent wants to go knight here and try to swap off this good knight. I could also go queen f3, therefore, so this is logical, to stop his knight from moving, because then his knight can't move because I'll be attacking this one. That's very interesting. But I think he'd just go h6 then. I don't know if my queen wants to be on this square or not. Because what I'm thinking is my opponent wants to go knight b6 and he wants to swap off knights because my opponent's more cramped. I've got to move quicker, so I've got to bear in mind the time. Do I want to go here? b5 takes, knight takes. Do I want that to occur? No, I think I'll just play it simple and I'll just castle. Okay, my opponent's playing a bit quicker than some of the other opponents I've faced here, so I'm gonna play quicker, and he's played it straight away. So he's played a good move. My opponent's more cramped, so he wants to swap off pieces. Good move from my opponent. I don't want to swap off pieces, so I'm going to move my knight again. Do I want it on e3? I think I want my knight on e3. I think I do, because I don't want to swap off pieces. I want to keep tension, because here it seems to cover f5, and one of the pawn breaks later on my opponent might try to play is f5. So I'm trying to stop this. Now, I could have played more imaginative with h4 and not castling, but I'm just trying to play a traditional okay game here. A traditional game, meaning that I'm not trying to play anything, I'm not trying to do anything particularly special in this game. Now, another reason I've moved my knight here is that I can always now play a5 and I can gain that tempo back. So I can gain the tempo I just lost back. I like the way Pieta, let's say Ajax, is saying Harry's feeling lonely. Well, I'm afraid Harry. You know what, Harry's actually feeling really relieved, because normally poor Harry, the H pawn, I normally sacrifice him by now. So he's actually thinking, oh my word, you haven't sacrificed me yet. This is the best game I've ever had. Okay, now this was the downside of putting my knight here, that my opponent is now, I can't keep my bishop on this diagonal. So I think I want to keep this bishop. I think so. I don't think I want to swap. But when you've got a chance to exchange pieces, always think, I don't like that, because then his bishop has great potential later on. Normally I know from experience, you don't swap bishop for knight. That's what you normally do. Now, my opponent's playing well, though. He's playing very well at the moment, and I'm not sure if I actually played the right line. Now, I'm quite happy he played that move, I think, unless I'm losing e4. No, I was more worried there. I think my opponent had a very good idea of going knight h5 and knight f4. That's what I was much more worried about. But now that my bishop's here, I can stop his knight coming to that square. Wow, he's played, again, when your opponent plays a pawn move, what squares does it weaken? Well, that really weakens b5. But he is stopping me from going b5, so it's a double-edged move. Okay, So what do I do here? Let's try to think of some active plans now. Well, of course, I've got knight b5, but then my opponent will come in with a queen. Do I even now try to play f3 and get my bishop back to f2, because it will have a very good diagonal there? That's certainly an idea. But maybe knight, his pawn's a little bit weak here as well. I quite like the idea of going f3. It does allow his knight into f4 though. Now f4 I could play, but then he will take, rook takes, and go g5. Do I have a good? Do I have a good sacrifice against that? I've got to be careful of my time against this guy. He's playing a lot quicker, so I need to have a plan. I think I'm going to go for f3 now, so that my bishop can naturally come back to this square. Okay, and now moving the bishop back looks natural. I didn't think my bishop was great on that square anymore, but here it looks like it's a bit better to me, because it's now that my opponent's played c4, my bishop can certainly put a little bit of pressure over here. My opponent again should try to be playing for f5, but so far he's played excellently. He's played very, very good moves at this moment in time. Okay, he's played a move now where he might want to move his knight and go f5. So I need to come up with a plan. I need to move a bit quicker, that's for sure. So, well, knight b5 now. He would take my knight. Okie dokie. So, what do I do here? How do I add pressure? Do I go knight b5 anyway and go for that, or do I? Okay, I'm going to play queen d2 first because it connects my rooks. And one point is, when I go knight b5, if he takes my knight, then his a5 pawn will be attacked. And I kind of think this might be a useful move to play. This might be a useful move. This improves my queen. So I could do this. Also, actually, GM Magnus, I have to say, came up with a very interesting idea there. I have to say, that is, g4 was a very interesting. I might play g4 now, because I want to stop him playing f5, and I also don't want his knight coming to this square. So I really like g4. It's a very good move from GM Magnus, and it's the kind of move that you want to play, because you've got to look at how your opponent's going to break out. If you're in a closed position, what breaks does he have? He can't just win by playing piece moves as he is. He might try to come to this square with his queen and try to win my pawn, but I'm going to play g4 first, because I don't want his knight coming to h5. I don't want him ever playing f5, and maybe now Harry can play a part h4 g5 at some point. It seems to improve my position somewhat. F4 is a weakened square here though, but he can't get a knight there. If he could get a knight to f4, this wouldn't be a very good way to play. I've sort of, this is one system. Okay, I mean, I think now my opponent has to think of a plan. Never play a game if you don't have a plan. The plan I can see my opponent playing here, where he might see that this pawn is weak, so he might try to attack that, bring his queen around. That's the kind of plan that I would certainly be tempted to do. But then if he brings his queen to e8, his knight is not defended there. So maybe then, because my bishop's on that knight, I could think about doing some knight f5 tactic in that position. Something along that line, something like that. But so far, this position seems to be, I would say, quite pleasant. Because now my opponent, I think he's played normalish moves, but he missed his opportunity, because he should have been going for f5 later. And if you get in a position where you don't have any way to play actively, you're really going to struggle. You always need to think of your pawn breaks. Always think of pawn breaks. Here, for example, I'm thinking later on, I've got h4, h5. I've got maybe h4, g5. And potentially I can just take my time and gang up on this one. But my opponent really should be playing f5, and that's something he hasn't done. This could be his mistake in this game so far, that he hasn't played f5, but we'll see how the game goes. Right, so another thing I might do even, I like h4. I like the idea of going h4, king g2, rook h1, h5, something like this seems to be all right. Come on, Harry. Come on, Harry. This is a thing. But one thing's interesting here is, you know, this is a closed position, like I said. So when you have a closed position, you have more time. So remember earlier on in this lecture, I said timing is important. You have more time here, meaning that maneuvers are more important. Okay, so my opponent's gone here. Maybe he wants to get his knight here and his bishop here. So I'm going to play h4. I'm going to play a little bit quicker now because this seems to benefit my position. And now my opponent, I'm sure, wants to go bishop here. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to play this move quickly because I'm trying to stop his plan. If his bishop goes here, you can see that my queen has now taken a good square. And this is one thing I'm trying to do. So what I'm trying to do in this game, I'm trying to stop my opponent's plans. Now, also, I could have gone h5 there. That's a very good point. I could have played h5, but I didn't want to give him this square. I didn't want to give him this square. And what I want to do, I just want to go bishop e3 and try to take here. Now, should my opponent play f5 now? Is it time for him to play this move now? Well, if he does, I'm hoping I have h5 when I'm going to undermine the pawn on f5. So he would love to play like rook f8 and f5. This would be a good plan. But if he does go f5, it could get quite complicated with h5. It could get very complex because then his pieces may become alive a little bit. I mean, I don't have to do anything. If he goes f5, I could leave it there. Another thing I could try to do here is this knight is very weak, so I even have queen e3 trying to attack that knight. I'm trying to look at his weaknesses in this position. But okay, so he's defending that knight, very sensible. But now, if I go bishop e3, how is he going to defend h6? Well, he may have to push it to h5. Then his pawn becomes, well, then I have to decide, do I take it? Takes. And who does that help? Because I'm not sure my pieces are really well developed. At some moment, it seems like the G file is going to open. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm thinking about the future. I want to play h5, but that allows his knight also to try to get into h3 with check. At some point, he might play this move. And if I play bishop e3, he might play h5. And then I want to take there. At some point, the G file will open. So I'm going to go king to h2. Again, the idea of this is I'm just going to try to take my time and go rook g1 and stop him playing either h5 or f5 or get ready for it. I'm getting ready for when the position opens up. So this is like a very good waiting move, I think. I'm waiting for things to open up. And really, as you can see in this game, what I'm doing, because it depends on the position, the way I think often, if you have more time in a game of chess, what you do, you have to think a lot more about your opponent's ideas, a lot more. And I do have more time here. So I'm thinking about, I have lots of other ideas. I've still got knight b5. I've still got h5. I've still got bishop e3, but don't rush, because these plans are much nastier for my opponent unless they're winning, if they're still in the air, because he's got so many things he needs to look at. He's got so many things he needs to look at. So I'm not rushing with these plans. I'm waiting until the perfect opportunity, hopefully. And the perfect opportunity will be, I mean, I don't know how he improves his position, so I don't need to rush. Now, I have to say, knight b5 may have been a good move there, tactically. That may have been a good move. I suppose then he could go queen to this square. So I don't know how much it helps me. But then his queen is a bit off place, because I'm a bit more worried about his queen coming around, you know, potentially this way. And he's okay. As soon as I say that, of course, he's played that. There's a surprise. Okay, right. So now, I think I may just play this strange-looking rook g1, because if he goes here, he really closes himself down there. I'm not worried about that. I mean, I could go bishop e3. Bishop. Okay, I'm going to go rook g. I like rook g1. I like this move. It's sticking to my plan of really trying to stop my opponent playing h5 or f5. This is really just a nice move. I'm looking at his ideas. I'm trying to stop them. But soon I'm going to need to do something. I'm going to have to play. I can't just mess about and not do anything for the rest of my life. You know, a lot of people do that in life, and it might be fun, but it doesn't always get them anywhere. So I'm going to play this move with the idea now. I need to come up with a good plan soon. But is it bishop e3? Is this the move I'm going to play? Okay, he's come back with his knight. So now he can go king here if bishop e3. Where do I want my knights now? It kind of feels like my knights are not on the best squares. Well, if I move this one, he takes that pawn. Do I move this knight back to e3? has it? I think it's done its job here. Is he going to go h5 himself? Maybe. Well, if he goes h5, maybe I want to go bishop g5. I think my bishop's done its job here. So here, bishop h g5, maybe an idea. Or do I go knight e3 here and try to get my knight into f5? That's a very interesting way of playing. I kind of like knight to e3. Okay, I need to just consider this. My time's ticking. I'm going to go knight to e3. That looks like a decent-ish square for my knight, because at some moment there's a very thematic sacrifice. And this is one sacrifice that happens a lot in these positions, knight to f5. It also seems like a good square for my knight, because that pawn on c4 is certainly a bit of a weakness. I mean, I could play really positionally. I'm trying to look at weaknesses in my enemy's position, and I could try to target that more. The only way I can see to do that is to go queen around to f1, and that could have a joint plan of trying to win a pawn and also trying to get my queen over here, so when I do sacrifice, it becomes maybe even stronger. So that's another thing I'm planning maybe here, to bring my queen around to f1. But most importantly, is my opponent going to do anything here? Well, if he goes h5, that's the only move I'm slightly wondering if he can play. I'm not sure I believe it, because it opens the position, and look how my pieces are now really, you know, in a good. They're in a good sort of situation to do something here, and I shouldn't be playing b3. I don't think here, because that would swap my b pawn for the c pawn. And when you do any exchanges in chess, you should always ask yourself before you make the exchange. Well, what happened there? That's a puzzle for later. When you make any exchanges in chess, you should always ask yourself, if I'm going to make that exchange, is the thing I'm swapping for his thing, which is better? Because if your thing is better than his thing, you don't exchange. It'd be stupid to. And I think his c pawn is weaker, therefore my b pawn is better than his c pawn. So I don't want to go b3 here. But maybe I do now that the bishop's on e2. I missed that. I missed that little tactic. That's what I missed. That's why he's gone bishop there. I actually missed that my bishop was there. So I am missing the small things here. So well done if you saw that one. Okay, now I've got to ask myself, can I go crazy? Can I go knight to f5? Can we do it? Can we do it? Knight to f5, pawn takes, pawn takes. That's, whoa. Well, he's got knight h5 then. That is maybe the problem. Knight here, pawn takes, knight h5, queen takes h6, attacking his knight, could be very strong. Knight f5, takes, king to h7, stops everything. I can't do it yet. I think I'm going to continue, or do I like my queen here? I like my queen here, actually. Maybe I should be looking at other things. Is this one okay? Is that the right way to play now? Do I get my knight there now? Do I play on the queen side all of a sudden? Do I even double up on the g file? Do I double up on the g file here? Do I move my queen to this square? No, I like my queen here, I feel. I like this queen here. So knight b5, if he takes there, I take on d6. If knight b5... Okay, that looks maybe like the right way to play. Let's do it. Time is getting a little bit low. Maybe I should have done this a little bit earlier. Knight rook g2 could be a useful move to play, though, because then all my sacrifices become a lot stronger. So I'm not 100% sure if this was the right move for me, because what I'm thinking is, though, it's quite hard for him to defend this pawn. If he goes queen to e7, then knight to f5 becomes a lot stronger, because my bishop is released against his knight. So I'm just trying to... what I'm trying to do is confuse him on the queen side and get ready on the king side. But of course, I might have to start bumping this up a little bit. But also, yeah, rook g... Okay, he's gone simply back. Now, is he threatening to take the pawn there? That's something I'm worried about. If he takes there, then I take on d6. And he takes, then I... Oh, no, I don't take on d6. Okay, well, look, I think my last plan was wrong, so I'm going to come back. Doesn't matter, because in these positions, it's quite a closed structure. I think I can lose a bit of time. I don't think it's going to do any damage to my position. I think what I should have been playing there was rook g2. Because then, when my knight comes in, I have this idea with that sacrifice of getting double power over here. It's just a useful move. I did say I didn't think b3 was good, but b3 in some positions is looking better because I want to get control of the b5 square. So he's gone back, knight h7. And, well, okay, so he's trying to get his bishop to this square, bishop to there. I also have knight g2 there. I need to think of a better plan here. Is it time for me to go h5? I'm really not sure if this whole plan of me putting the knight here was best, unless it's time to go in and just sacrifice. Takes, takes, takes. Shall we go for that sacrifice and go for it? Shall we do it? Well, the other idea is... Okay, I'm going to go rook g2 first. If I had more time, I'd look at knight f5 in a lot deeper way. But I'm going to go for this because I want to play knight f5. Okay, now I'm really going to play knight f5 now. There's no way... Okay, I'm going to play it. I'm playing it quick. Because now, this is one of the main ideas, having the knight there. I have to play this because he's put his knight on such a bad square. This knight has no way out. Yes, it is a piece, but it looks like my pieces should at least causing some trouble here. Maybe not. Maybe this whole sacrifice is rubbish because he's got bishop f6 here. Oh dear, I missed that one. So is this sacrifice not working? Well, I've got a lot of time. I can even try to get this knight over to g4. I've got time. This one's on pre in some positions. I've even got check. And then this. It's just my time. I've certainly spent a lot of time here. I still think this is quite good compensation, though. I really do. So what about I start with this one? Let's get the rook here. Let's get this. Let's try to get domination. Let's try to get domination of the G file. Now, maybe I've missed some tactical things here, but this still looks quite dangerous for him. One thing I might try to do is get my queen to g3. That's another good idea. I still think this is good compensation in this position. If I get my rook to g8 next move, that's certainly... If bishop f6, I think my rook will come to g8. This is worth a piece, because all of his pieces are still very bad. I'm attacking. It's got to be worth a piece here. Got to be worth a piece, this one. It's certainly looking dangerous. I mean, it's worth a piece because all his pieces are so cramped, and the pawn on f5 is very good. So it looks to me natural to bring my rook into g8. That looks natural, but then he goes here, and then I need to get my queen to this square. I'm going to go for this, I think. He's got knight g6. Knight g6. What about if I just try to get my queen around first? So queen into g3. Or where does my queen want to go? I'll tell you what about if I move this bishop so my queen has quick access to this square? So what about that? That's a bit weird. I've got lots of ideas but little time. Bishop e3 is another idea. And just try to take that one. Okay, let's increase the pressure. Bishop e3. Bishop e3 was the way to go here. We'll have a look after this, and we'll see if I missed anything, because it's certainly possible I missed something stronger tactically. To be honest, I'm not really thinking in tactical ways here. I'm thinking in more just positional ways. And by the way, he can't take on h4 because then my rook comes here and it will be checkmate on g8 and g7 with my rooks. What I'm trying to do is just get my big piece in. So my queen, I'm just trying to get in. So my opponent's grabbed the pawn now. I could win a piece back with bishop takes knight and knight takes bishop. That must be good. But I think I want more than that. I want more than that. But okay, he's going to go knight here now, is he? Well, I think I should win this piece. Surely I should take this piece. I'm looking for too much here. Is rook... Yeah, I mean, here I should take the piece, shouldn't I? I should win the piece back. Okay, but other options. So I want to checkmate him rather than winning the piece. So queen here, knight here, and he's defending. And if rook... Okay, rook g8 now looks stronger. Okay, I'm going to go rook g8 first. I don't want to win his piece now. I don't want to win his piece. What I want to do, his plan was to go knight d7, and I want to pin that knight down. Because I still want to get my plan of moving my queen around into the game. And even though I could have won a piece there, and winning a piece may have been very strong, I want more. I want more from this position. I want more. And I've got to not lose on time as well. That's another key thing. I have to say, my opponent is playing better than a lot of the other guys I've played. Okay, so he's gone here. He doesn't want this piece. Okay, look, I've got to take it now. There's no doubt about it. I'm going to win that piece. I've got to take that piece. I've got to get my piece back and keep the attack here. But he had a really hard position. Maybe he had to play that. And I didn't even have to take that, take this one. So now I'm gaining tempo because he has to move that bishop again. Okay, and here surely I can get my plan in of getting my queen to g3. Can I get my plan in? That's my master plan here. I've got to be careful of knight g6. Then I have tactics, do I not? Knight g6. Rook takes here. Should be okay for me. Let's do this. Let's go for this one. I just want to increase the pressure over on his king side, and my queen needs to come in the attack. But knight g6, I'm thinking knight g6. I've got rook takes e8, and then pawn takes knight. So that's my sort of tactical idea here. He's gone knight g6, and now what I was relying on was to gain some material from doing this one. Now, what other no, let's just do this one. I'm going to gain material. I'm going to take here, and I get a bishop and a knight for the rook. So that's got to be a decent investment. But my opponent playing quickly, so I'm going to have to go a bit quicker myself now. Now, I'm using Harry because I'd like him to go g5 because that would kill his bishop. So that's what I'm trying to do. But he's not doing that. He's playing well. He's not allowing me to do that one. So he's trying to also attack me. I'm going to open up his king. I'm just trying to get a bit of time back on the clock now. And he's played very well here. He's defended everything. And he's got his king to a decent square. Now, I could take this pawn. But I'm thinking here, I want to stop his plans. His bishop is going to come in this way. I don't like that. So I'm going to put my bishop here. I don't want his bishop coming into f4. So I'm going to do a little bit of defensive maneuvers here. Maybe I'm certainly missing probably better moves, but I'm just playing sort of what seems to be natural moves to try to stop his plans. Okay, so he's got his rook in, and well, can I grab that pawn? Maybe. He's getting a little bit of initiative against me now, which I don't like. I'm going to check him and try to bring my queen in on the light squares. So this is the game which anyone could still win here. So he's playing very well. I'm trying to bring my queen in on the light squares here. So good play for my opponent. And now, well, it must be time to bring my queen in there. Got to bring him in with a check. And what is happening here, people? Very risky position for both of us. I kind of feel that my opponent might be better now. I've definitely misplayed this one. Definitely misplayed my position. So, okay. Don't like my king in a lot of positions. And his queen. My last move wasn't great, actually. I've kind of helped him out there. I'm getting a little bit nervous now, even. So, if I take... Well, maybe I have to take this one. Let's see what he does against this move. He's taken the best way, of course. Queen here. And if queen here, queen to this square. Right. This could be a lot. I had such a great position earlier, but I'm certainly letting this one slip a little bit. So I'm going to have to defend a little bit here, guys, with queen e6 and try to get this one on. But my position is slipping a little bit. I've certainly not played the best moves here. And now he's threatening his rook in here. So I'm going to defend. Oh, no, he's got rook h5 there. So this is the only move I can play. Am I defending this position? I want to get my bishop here and my knight around to give some extra protection here, if possible. This could be the first game I've lost. This could be the first game I lose here. I've always got the move f4 as well. That might be a good move, just to give my bishop some protection to some more pieces in this position. I have to say, this is certainly not one of my better games in this position, but we will see. I mean, I was definitely winning earlier on. We'll go back to the point where I was probably, well, I must have been winning, but this could be the first time I've lost a game against someone who's not cheating, and I'm pretty sure my opponent is not cheating here. Okay, so what is my opponent going to play? Well, he could try. I'm worried about moves like queen here. He can't go queen f7 because I'll take that one. I've always got, luckily, this move f4 to break through. I wonder, right, what we'll do. We'll look at the game afterwards, and that'll be obviously the end of the stream. I don't know if I'll win or lose this one. You guys can tell me if you think I missed something, which is very likely that I missed a move somewhere. I'm pretty sure I did. I must have missed a win earlier on to let him get all this counterplay. It's not good. Just to let you know, we do get 10 seconds each move, so we shouldn't lose on time. I'm a bit annoyed that I've allowed him to get into this position, but he's played very well. He's played very well at this one. Okay, so what is my opponent going to do? Queen g6 looks like the most worrying, when I may have a draw, but I probably have no more than a draw. And I'd rather lose than get a draw, probably, in this one. So, and if queen g6, can I sack a pawn with f4 and just go for it? Very risky to do that, because it gives him another passed pawn. My knight is not finding a good route in. I'd love to get my knight also to here and here. That'd be ideal if I had this time. I definitely missed some bad moves earlier on. So, but we'll have a look, because I must have had an easier win. Maybe you guys can jump back into the game and see where these wins might be. Okay, so he's trying to now bring his queen into this square. So I must stop that one. And the only way I can stop that, I can see, is by moving my queen to f4. So that's a pretty much forced move. If he exchanges queens, at least I won't get checkmated. The ending should be, well, I should be doing very well there. So this move I think is forced. And now do I have time to get my knight maneuver in? Well, he wants to go queen here now, and then rook here. That is the issue. So I don't quite have time to do that. I've always got f4. When he does that, maybe I need to try it, but I don't like it. So queen f7. Looking bad, looking bad. Bishop here. Okay, I'm going to have to go for this one. I need to bring that one in, but I'm really worried about queen f7 when he has this idea of moving his rook here. Now, I must play f4. Every other move, I think, would be really bad for me. And I've got to try and bring my pieces now in to defend this. So let's... Oh, I've missed f3. f3's a killer. He's going to get me. f3. And he's won this one. He's played well. He's got me. He's got me. I forgot. I should have played bishop f3 first. That was a big, big mistake on my part. We have to say well played to my opponent. I'll try this one, but he's got me. Oh, no, that's disappointing. Disappointing I lost that one, but he's played well to get that one. Of course, I should have won this one, but I've let things massively slip in a position which should have been winning. So we'll get this set up and we'll see where I went wrong. See, even GMs can lose to much lower rated players, and that was one of my worst games, I have to say. But my opponent did play well at the right moment, so he did seem to get the right moves in, and now, well, it should be game over here. He's got a couple of ways to win in this position. I maybe had knight g4 last move as a last desperate attempt, but I think my position was going bad because he had queen f4 if that position was coming in. So, well, I certainly had a winning position, but I just didn't find the right tactical thing. That shows you that even if you play well strategically, tactically things can go wrong. So this has not been one of my better long play games, but these things certainly happen. Well done, Loner Druid. He has done a great job on taking me down in this game. He's just got... I'm not going to tell him the right move, but I think he's going to find it now, and it looks like he will find the right move here. Still, I've got a couple of tricks in this position, but it shouldn't be enough to save the game. Maybe my opponent will get short of time here and crack up. But let's say I think he's got a way to win this one. Let's see if you guys can see it anyway. So yeah, it shows you that you know, even if you play a good positional game, which I think I did, I was sort of controlling the game most of the way. I got a little bit short time critical moment, and I should have won that quite easily tactically at some point. It was very slack of me to lose it, but well played to Loner Druid if he wins. So but Loner Druid playing a great game here, so you know, in some way I do hope he wins. Okay, so now he's found the right move, and that was the move I'm worried about. I have to take here, and he's going to get the right move in. I have to go here, and my only hope now is to get a perpetual. So we'll try a little bit here. Look at this. It's a ridiculous position, and the only hope I've got is to try and get a draw. But I don't think there's a draw in this position, unfortunately. 2 queens is normally too much. But anyway, it's good. It's good for everyone else to see at 1800 beat a GM, but it's not good for me. Right, but anyway, the whole point of these is really to try and okay, let's just see if I got. Well, I'm going to take a pawn. Is to show my thoughts, but I think my thoughts were okay. It's my calculation which really let me down in this game. My calculation was incredibly poor in this game. I certainly was winning, but I just wasn't able to calculate. There's not going to be any time trouble here really, because we're getting 10 seconds to move, so it's very unlikely we're going to face any time trouble. But he's done very well, my opponent, but I certainly had a better position. So all I'm trying to do here, I'm just going to keep trying to see if I can get some kind of a petrol with my queen, and he's got to be a little bit careful in this position. But yeah, I mean, I was completely winning. Probably I'll be the computer saying about +5 or something at some point in this game. There's no doubt about that. But let it slip, and I should have won easily. I think I'm agreeing with a lot of you if I had played the right moves, but I didn't play the right moves. And now my opponent's going for glory with a king march here. Okay, so I have knight check. Let's just see if there's any chance here to get a swindle. Knight check king here. Can't see that working. What about this check here? King here, check. Okay, well that looks a bit more promising. Maybe there's still some chances here. Some chances. So knight check, king here. Check takes check. Okay, I've got to do this quick check here. Okay, so this check must be correct. So I'm going to try this one. Still some swindling chances. Some slight swindling chances here of getting a draw. He's come in now. He's come in. Okay. Maybe he's coming into this square. God, he's a brave player. He's obviously calculated this better than me. So, well, he's coming in with his king, and we'll play it out a little bit more anyway. Okay, and he's coming in. This is probably the only way to avoid a draw, and I think he's found the right idea, because as soon as his king gets over here, I think there's little hope for me in that position. Loner Druid, I'm gonna have to get a rematch against you at some point in the future. And now, well, the threats to my king are far too great, and it's probably just getting time to throw in the towel here. I'm running out of last tricks in this position, so not much I can do there. Well, I mean, obviously this is very easily won for my opponent there. Okay, so I'm going to resign that one. Well played, Loner Druid. He did a good job. And before I cry, I'll have to get a rematch against Loner Druid next time I play. We're going to see where I went wrong, and of course then we're coming to the end of the stream. But well done, Loner Druid. So I'm just going to set up the analysis board here, guys, and we'll get back to it. So we have to say well done. So just bear with me where I set it up now. Okay. Now, I'm just seeing how I can put if I can put it. There's a command I can make it into computer, but I don't think we need to do that. I'm just going to look back, and I think I sort of know where I went wrong. Okay, He played well there. So around, okay, let's just have a look at one scene. Alt 4. Someone's telling me Alt 4. Okay, let's try that. Thanks. Hopefully that doesn't... is Alt plus... Oh, what have I done there? I mean, okay, I'm just trying to set it up. Let me just do that now. I'm just trying to set it up. No, don't click on that again. Where we're going to try to get the computer up. Alt F4? You joking? That's just got rid of the board. What have you done? Who said that? Well, whoever said that has literally just deleted... Oh, no, it's one of those days. Oh, well, okay. Well, the board is gone. Let's see if I can get it back anyway. That obviously not Alt F4. Thanks for that lovely help there. That's very kind of you guys. That has just deleted the board. Oh, no. The board has just gone. One of those days where everything's going wrong. It'd be nice to get the game back. Otherwise, we're going to have to end the show. Because I would like to have a look at precisely where things went wrong. So let's see if the thing's still there at the moment. Typical Simon. Alt F4. There goes the board. You look at someone's device and it goes. So see, I'm not maybe one of the best with computers, we have to say. I've got the board back anyway, so not the end of the world. Okay, so let's now move back and to finish the show. Oh right, I might need to capture the board again. Let's see if I can do that. For some reason the board is gone. Is that going to capture it? Yes, it is. Good. Well, I think around. Let's have a look. I think my sacrifice was okay. And this position here should surely be winning very easily because he can't really move anything. And I've got this big attack on the G file. So this is very, very badly played here. And, well, I think even... Maybe I shouldn't come in at this moment. Maybe I should try something else. But my opponent's trying to go knight here when he's going to bring his queen over to defend. Even then, it should be good. I mean, possibly, I should just go bishop takes h6 and not try to do anything else. Just take this and try to win simply with something like bishop to g7 next. Actually, that looks completely winning. Just take here, and I think someone mentioned this in the chat. Bring the bishop to g7. Something like knight d7 and then bishop to g7, because this allows my queen in, and that's completely winning, isn't it? So, in actual fact, I mean... What you should do, even me losing, I got myself a little bit short of time, but the way I played it, I went for this piece grabbing. I'm still winning there, but I just play some horrible moves later on. But if we just look at this moment, if I take on h6 and bring the bishop in, I'm winning. And I think one thing you've got to realise, if you lose a game, and we all lose sometimes to lower rate players, and he did play a good game, so well done Loner Druid for playing that. If I just play this move here, why didn't I see this move? I think I was trying to play a little bit too... I didn't change with the times. You know, earlier on I was saying, the position's closed, there's no urgency with the position. But at some point in the game, because I've sacked a piece, the position's getting a lot more urgent, and I need to do something more urgently. I should just be looking at his king, and I should be calculating more. I wasn't really calculating. I was being very lazy today with my calculations. And I should be basically... concentrating on just his king. And I think in future I've got to remember that, not to mess about, because had I done this and then just put the bishop on g7, all my pieces are attacking it, and that should be completely won. So really, totally my fault I didn't win this one. And if we go back, I mean, the way I played it should still be good. I mean, this position must be good, bishop e8, but even here, I think I started to play some very bad moves around here. I mean, this has certainly got to be good for me. I think I should, in hindsight, just retreat my rook. If I just move my rook back, I've got my extra piece now. My opponent doesn't have this tactical thing. He can't take here because I've got checkmate. And all of his pieces are extremely bad now. So if I just avoid any tactics now, I've got to change tempo. And then I just had the idea of doing the same kind of thing. He won't be able to defend his king side. This is probably winning as well. And I misassessed what I played, and there was a moment where my opponent started to play very well, and the point was, well, around this point, okay, I allowed him to do this little maneuver, and even here I'm sure it's okay, but I played very badly now. I actually think h5 is my first mistake. I thought I'd try to force him to play g5, but I forgot about his next move. And what I should have been doing instead of that one, I should just not have allowed him to get this attack on the king side, because again, I'm just thinking where I went wrong. You've got to do this in every game so you don't do it again. And I'm thinking where I went wrong, as soon as I went h5, look what happens. I give my opponent, actually, because he's got a rook, rooks work well on open lines, and I've just given him an open line for his rook. So what I should have done here is very stupid. In this position, I should just go bishop to f2 to stop him doing that. If he wants to go g5, now I play this move, probably. Then he's got queen f7 though, so I'm not even sure about that. But I should probably hold things, and I should try to get my bishop into one of these squares and get my knight around. Even here, I think I'm doing very well. So I think in general, that was, I played all right for most of it, and I think things were going well. I've sort of got this good tack in. But then later on, as things got quite dodgy and risky, my opponent played the tactical stage right at the end quite well, so well done to him. So, okay, a little bit disappointing for me, but still some lessons to be learnt there, and I'm going to get some revenge against you next time, dear boy. So it's going to take a long time to get up to that rating. Okay, well, I've gone over the time limit as well, so thank you for tuning in. Thanks everyone in the chat on Twitch and on chess.com. We're coming to the end of the session, so thanks for watching that. And so I'm coming to the end, and I'll be back again on Tuesday, I think. So I'll be doing more streaming on Tuesday, and I'll try to play a little bit better in my long play games there, because that wasn't the most impressive. When it came tactically, I messed up. Hey ho, it's the way it goes. But at least, hopefully, some of it was still educational and entertaining, and that's the main thing. So cheers, and thank you for that beating, Lona Druid. I'm back at you next time. Bigger and harder, but okay, cheers. It's the same time next Tuesday. Thank you for tuning in, and goodbye for now.